This isn't just glass. These are old computation components. Yes, filament memories. From the time when wires were cast in glass, slides with an inlaid nervous system.
So it is. I think it is used to form a single system, slotted in the wall.
The how was a closely guarded secret. Something that was locked in safes in human heads across the river where they were manufactured. As to why, your fingers don't know. The why is easy, because they hadn't come up with modern silicon-based systems yet. For vitreous cast filament memories, though, these seem incredibly advanced.
The rest of the building seems to have been picked clean. These? No. These are old filament memories. I hope you're not expecting to find that device here. You will be disappointed.
All you'll find here is pain. This hat is so soft, so warm. It wraps around your head. And your Kraz Mazov would have worn this, Yushenka. Mazov knew where to cook those thoughts. That's why it bears a Mazovian logo. Glory to the revolution, comrade. Whether you like it or not, wearing this hat has made you more communist. A mustachioed and mutton-chopped man, amateurishly depicted, gazes at you with sad eyes. A plaque reads, K. Mazov. There is a spiderweb in the lower left corner of the year's worth of dust is shaken off. The full head of hair, matched by an ample moustache and sideburns, look a bit silly. Someone crouches, heels digging into wet sand. Hands sweep across the sand. Grains sticking to the frayed skin of the fingertips. An old man sits on a slab of concrete and taps his fingers against the glass of a scope. You shudder.
Yes, I can see that. Looks like some communists were hiding out here. They left a long time ago.
The lieutenant does not seem to share your enthusiasm.
We have found a lot of those lately. I guess what most people think of as history tends to linger in rundown neighborhoods. Martinez being what it is, no one has gone through the trouble of cleaning out the old bunkers.
Good hiding place for someone who's up to no good.
Millions of depictions of Mazov have been produced. They're not all connected. Besides, that looked like some student. The youths always go for this kind of stuff. You mean like Ruby? No, I think we've stumbled on a piece of history.
it is again, like a swarm of hornets buzzing under your scalp. A strange tingling you can almost smell.
No, what do you mean? I don't feel it, but we should still be careful. There were footprints back there, and I'm pretty sure they were fresh. Looks like our suspect. If she's in here, we need to plan our next step carefully. Once we detain a credible suspect, who knows what the Union and the Wild Pines will do? We'll set in motion events we have no control over.
You will upset the balance of power in Martinaise. The deadlock between the company and the Union will destabilize. This part of town is a fine clockwork puzzle. Disturb its peace, and it will start breaking down uncontrollably. Keep calm. Go over the whole situation in detail.
Well, we are not responsible for what we can't predict, are we? I don't think the entire city will be razed to the ground.
If you can't predict it, there's nothing you could have done.
I think I see a cavern. Maybe more cellars? I think we've been careful enough. We still have the element of surprise.
I wouldn't be so sure. You haven't exactly been sneaking.
Or maybe not. Either way, once we go deeper, there will be no turning back.
Suddenly, your entire body is paralyzed. Aggressive white noise fills your skull. A strange pain, like you've never felt before. Through the static, you hear a woman's voice. It's like 1,000 radio stations are being blasted into your head all at once. But her words are the only ones you can make out.
I know you're feeling pretty uncomfortable right now. Don't move too much or fight it. That'll just make it worse. Can't say it's a pleasure, officer. I was really hoping not to make your acquaintance. But here we are.
As she says the word, officer, you feel a spike in the agony. It sounds like the entire radio frequency range is screaming directly into your neural pathway. No, buddy, that's not going to help. You can't shield yourself from this. It's an entirely new type of experience. Way worse than all the previous ones.
No, I'm not going to fucking kill you. If that had been my plan, you'd be dead already. All things considered, I'm being pretty reasonable here. I'm using a pale latitude compressor. You and your partner have been caught in its field.
The explosion of static you're hearing, it's the ULAN frequency, blasted from that pale emitter that Angus mentioned.
Saw my equations? You've been sniffing through my lorry, right? I expected as much. I am a bit surprised you knew what you were looking at. A pale latitude compressor is used to sort of make the pale more manageable. With a lot of these, you can force a radio signal grid on the pale. Literally crunch the distance across it. Signals are relayed across a series of repeater stations fixed to buoys. Not a fun job manning those stations. All alone out there in the Pale, people lose their minds in just a few years.
So, what we are experiencing is a concentration of radio waves.
Precisely. This is an industrial strength paraboloid. It's meant for forcing dimensions on something that doesn't have them. Needless to say, the frequencies used are out of this world. At the upper limit is the large prime number generator station. It's used specifically for Pale latitude compression. That's why you may be hearing some numbers. But you might also hear, or think you're hearing, local radio chatter.
She's been holed up in here for a while with no one to talk to. Keep her talking, and you just might get an opportunity to break loose.
The Pale? It's the end of the world. I built it myself.
And she's proud of it too, as she ought to be. This is way beyond your abilities.
That's illegal. I'm guessing it's patented. But we are beyond that, aren't we?
Oh yeah, way beyond. No, once I shut down the compressor, the pain will end. It may take a few minutes for you to steady yourself though. It's a bit like waking out of a very confusing dream. Yeah, let's not talk about that shit. You were hunting me and fell into my trap instead. That's all there is to say about it.
So she thinks of you as hunters, not the cops, and of herself.
If you've got something really important to say, you can do it through the white noise.
Dentist.
God damn it. Fine. If you really want to talk, I can dial it down. I've also got a gun, by the way.
She's carrying a 2-barrel front loader. Remain careful. Well, it doesn't feel much better, but you can form sentences now. Thinking doesn't seem to hurt as much. Just keep her talking, and you'll get through this.
I heard you in the passages, and I've been preparing for quite a while. So you found my shack, huh? I'm not surprised. So nice. That's one knife I didn't want to find to my back. This could have turned out pretty bad for me if you hadn't walked right into 25 bands of ultra-high frequencies.
That's her admitting the bullet was an emergency exit.
No, I didn't do it. I only helped stage the lynching, though I doubt that makes much of a difference to you. Who ratted me out, by the way? Was it Titus? No, he wouldn't have broken first. Oh, I knew the kitten had claws, but not like this. But she couldn't have known I was on the coast. How did you find me? took some convincing my ass. Those guys liked me, I know it. This is what happens to people who people like. How the fuck do the rest of you get by? Like what? I already told you I didn't do it.
A strong moral compass. She still wants the opportunity to make a case for herself.
Man, I was with the boys the whole night. I hope they at least bothered to impress that upon me. You mean the length of a toilet break? That wouldn't even have been enough time. Wow, now I'm curious. Please, explain. Don't know it, but also...
Evaluating your competence as a police officer.
The shot couldn't have come from the roof, or we would have all heard it downstairs.
She has a point there. No one mentioned.
That didn't go super well. You've got to lay something better on her.
So, Heart of Gold Tommy fucked me over too. Never trust a musician. Okay, great. You got into my lorry on your own. What now? You're going to arrest me for drug trafficking? Man, it's to get away from all that murderous shit that I left Jamrock, my previous employer, for the union.
She deliberately avoided naming the mob she worked for. You might be able to find this out later.
I got lucky being a dispatcher. Never had to do any of the really dirty work myself. This gun has only been used for self-defense against serious scum.
There. It's going to be easier to reach the machine now.
Based on what I've heard about you, you are serious scum. No. Gifts of flowers and candy aren't really my style. So now I'm leaving revolutionary symbols around? Come on. No, I did not. I didn't like him. Hardened mercenaries aren't particularly likable types. Yeah, sure. And I didn't like Wild Pines sending in those foreign hirelings. Me and a fuck ton of other people around here. I'm listening. Yeah?
More questions before doing anything.
How should I know? As I keep saying, he already had a bullet in his head when I got to him, and there hasn't been any useful gossip over the radio.
Those rings around her eyes, her tired voice. She's been staying up late, listening in on the conversations crisscrossing Martinez.
Police radio? You've been following the case?
Who hasn't? You know, I can still see him there, in Claus's room, lying on his side. He was still warm, but the bluish light coming through the broken window Made him look as though he'd been dead for a good long while.
She eyes you warily, as though gauging your sincerity.
It's okay. We just want to...
All right, don't kill yourself over it. I was shooting the shit with Hardy and the boys over a few beers, like always. Then Klasya comes in, all pale and shuddering. She sits down with a drink, trying to steady her nerves. So I grab a seat next to her. She asked me to come upstairs. The merc she'd been going with was lying on the bedroom floor, dead. I knew she couldn't get the authorities involved, so yeah.
You made it look like he'd been hanged.
What? No. Faking a lynching was her idea. Yeah, in cold blood. It really surprised me how quickly she was able to get a hold of herself once we got up there. It was like she was another person. The party girl was gone. She asked me to help her drag him into the shower so she could wind the shower head around his neck to fake lividity. Then she dressed him while I went to get the Hardy Boys.
She lied to you about that, too.
Yeah, I wasn't sure whether to admire her or be disturbed. As I keep telling you cops, we didn't hear anything downstairs. No gunshot, nothing.
But even if this is true, weren't you worried this lynching might lead to...
War? The thought crossed my mind. But the mercenary's death was going to have repercussions either way. Although the way things are going...
She doesn't want to talk about this, but not because she has something to hide. She doesn't want the guilt.
Fuck it. I'm not responsible for these people after what they did to me.
Her grip on the gun is tight, her arms toned, her posture solid. Martinez lost a valiant defender.
I saw you roll into town. I wasn't about to stick around for questioning by a goddamn la puta madre agent.
So this is what she was scared to tell Titus. This cop.
Yes, you. Everyone says you're his peon, his human can opener.
Through the sudden sharp pain in your head, you hear the lieutenant mumble something to himself. Fucking hell. And why me? You hear through the white noise. It's especially bad suddenly. Felt like a vein exploded.
Everyone in Jamrock, the cops, the criminals. Why do you think I'm holed up in here with a goddamn death ray waiting for me?
If she knows that about you, she must know your real name too.
Harry Dubois. One corrupt motherfucker with the disco pants and a funny tie. Agent to la puta madre.
All of this just means that you're effective. Criminals know you and are scared of you.
Is that a joke or a threat? I'm guessing both. Yeah, sure.
She doesn't believe you.
I'm sure La Puta Madre himself will explain it all to you soon enough. You've been to my lorry. You think the biggest player in Jamrock appreciates competition? And now I have Harry can opener in my lair. Fucking Titus.
She's not going to change her mind that easily. She still perceives you as a threat. Wait, one thing, possibly small, but she said you roll into town. Was that you singular or plural? She might know something.
Yeah, you had your death squad with you. What happened to them anyway? Well, it wasn't this scrawny dude. You had 2 guys and a lady. The guys looked pretty buff. Lady wasn't bad either. One of the guys seemed chipper, a blonde. The other had a brooding something or other about him. And the woman was the only one in uniform. All were carrying. That sound about right?
No idea who these people are, literally. Satellite Officer Vic Mayer looks out of the window grimly, then puts his coffee down and turns to Patrol Officer Minot. We can either take a room here in the Whirling or go home for today. Let's go home, Jean. Nothing's going to happen today, she responds quietly. Jean takes his blonde wig off. Call Heidelstein. He can give us a ride.
Friction, lock, set.
Fantastic. I've got to get on the road. Then you can go find your friends. Unless you have anything pressing to ask me. What bunker? Don't know anything about it. No one's been around since I set up camp. But I'm sure I'm not the first vagabond to...
Keep calm. Breathe in. After the pain recedes, it's a little clearer. You did it. The compressor lies broken on its side. It's quiet in your head again. It still hurts like hell, but... She looks at the machine, assessing the damage. Her hand trembles.
Oh, fuck it. Problem solving.
Ma'am, put the gun down. That's not the solution to your problems. You are...
Oh, yes it is.
You should know the words to say. You've been here yourself. So why is it not coming to you? Because you've been going around pointing a gun at yourself, trying to answer the same question in vain. Her finger squeezes the trigger now. A smirk crosses her face as she watches you stand there, mute. Then she exhales sharply, shakes her head, and pulls the trigger. You watch as her brains trickle out through her neon hair.
Fuck.
Lieutenant Yefreitor Dubois, control your emotions. We did our job. This won't be the worst thing that happens on this case, believe me. You can't let this break you.
There is no coming back from this one. It will stay with you in nightmares.
We are cops. Everything is our fault if we let it be. Our job. It went really bad. And now we need to clean it up. Okay, you said it. You needed to say it. Now it's been said. We need to clean up. We clean up. It may take days for processing to pick up her body. We need to move it somewhere. That tent there.
The plain red tent stands by despite it was pitched by practiced hands. She was used to camping out. You see a rolled-up sleeping bag and personal belongings.
We should put her in the sleeping bag, so the rats don't get to her.
The lieutenant nods. There she lies, cocooned in the sleeping bag, surrounded by empty cigarette packs, books, and half-read magazines. Magazines? You should look through them. Assorted soft covers, mostly pulp horror. A motor carriage lies buried in the snow on one cover. On another, a ghost airship. You also see a collection of radio enthusiast magazines.
See anything?
Rager Monthly, Journal of Material Science. More Technological Digest. One of the magazines doesn't have images on the cover. It's not a magazine, it's a leather notebook. You pocket the worn brown leather journal. She watches by, motionless.
We should read this immediately, like right now.
A thick journal. The cover is worn like someone used to carry it around in their back pocket. It's made of full-grain leather. The lower left corner of the back cover sports an embossed brand name. Schneller is a stationery brand from Gottwald, beloved among architects and engineers. The journal falls open. About 2/3 of its ruled pages have been filled. The large cursive of someone who writes quickly and confidently, perhaps too confidently. Many phrases and even paragraphs have been crossed out, with tiny corrections scrawled above and in the margins. It's a mix of logistical notes, diagrams, and personal reflections, all dated.
We could learn a lot from this.
Hard to tell exactly. It's mostly noted down in code. Looks like contact information, quantities, directions.
There could be useful information about local operations in those notes. We have a junior sergeant at my station who's good with codes. I can give this to her after we finish this.
Esoteric radio technology. The most recent ones probably pertain to the latitude compressor, sketches, calculations of distance and density. You make out a familiar spiral shape. Short, wry observations of people and places. Probably a way to pass the time on the road. Also, what appears to be attempts to sort through some difficult decisions. There are a few passages with many questions in them. The way some of those question marks trail off into ellipses, she was going through a tough time. Staff issues, always tough on the leadership. You smell traces of betrayal. The first entry is from August 2nd of last year. It reads simply, "I know my position is precarious. All I can do is make myself as useful as I can while looking for a way out. Remember, no one is indispensable. Nothing on March 4th. March 5th, though, well, that's bound to come back and bite me in the ass. I'm bad at this. Loyal to a fault. But that's another matter entirely. You have no idea what she means. These are personal notes. Don't expect to understand all of it. That name isn't mentioned as far as you can tell. Small wonder. Would you talk about La Puta Madre in your journal? You do see an M, though. La Puta Madre? M is mentioned on March 9th and March 15th. Great. M's peon is coming to town, no doubt to investigate the lynching. But also, I feel it in my gut to finally put a bullet in my head while I'm napping in my lorry or on a smoke break. Well, I won't stick around just to twist my own neck by constantly looking over my shoulder. Then again, isn't that what I've been doing ever since I got the call? The call? Did M call her personally? Why? Things played out just as she had feared, except you didn't shoot her. Maybe it's the old you, or maybe she was just paranoid. Been holed up here for 3 days now. I'm used to being alone and all, but I don't know when I'll be able to leave, or if I'll be ratted out. They will rat me out, of course. I've made it a point to believe in the best in people, the boys, for example. But experience tells me. Did M feel truly betrayed by me? I was feeling threatened. He'd have to know if he threatened people, they'd take measures to protect themselves. Even I know that. Economic measures first of all. Gotta make a living, right? I can still hear his voice in the receiver. Taste the plastic. The entry ends abruptly. The thick journal bound in brown leather is full of candor and diagrams. The most recent entry is from today. Even when I leave here, if I leave here alive, what's my next move? Staging a lynching is a crime, even if I'm not accused of murder on top of that. Forever on the run. Not really my idea of the open road. Man, I was really looking forward to winning.
I don't think she killed the mercenary. It looks like she might have been framed.
This whole thing was a detour, and a fatal one, he thinks.
She was in plenty of trouble, even without the murder charge. Still, it's a nasty business. Could have been Titus. Then again... Maybe there's a hardy boy we've yet to meet who acted as his accomplice. Either way, we need to keep an eye on him. One thing is for certain. We have business back in the whirling in rags. Questions to ask. We should get to it.
A few locusts. The trap is filled. A scattering of bullet holes is spread across the cracked wall.
I'm afraid we don't have time for rest stops right now, officer. We should really get back to the whirling.
The trap is... Stop. Now. It is time. Crisis. Death. You can feel it in your blue soul. Be prepared. Make sure you have your pepper box in your hand. Your fingers reflexively reach for the Villiers 9mm pistol in your pockets.
Then you'd better get ready. Whatever happens, I've got your back.